All between the binary. This is Get Informed with Wajeeh. I'm Wajeeh Lion. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we got a special one for you talking about diplomacy, and I'm wearing my diplomat hat. This is called the diplomat hat, and it used to be worn by diplomats from Russia, Afghanistan, Pakistan. Now it's worn by government officials in Pakistan and India. And, it's, you know, supposed to be diplomacy, huh? Let's have some diplomacy. Talk about freedom, Project Freedom. Talk about Trump, becoming getting the Nobel Peace Prize. Guys, just give him the Nobel Peace Prize. Just give him the. Maybe he will stop the war if we give him the Peace Prize. We tell him to stop the war, we give you the prize, and no worries on us this time. We'll give you the Nobel Peace Prize, and each country will give you a prize too. Each country will give you Peace Prize. Trump Peace Prize. Each country, 300 plus countries, each of them will give Trump a medal. Just end the war. Right. Executive orders. Trump is the strongest man in the world. Just end the war. We'll declare you the best person. What do you want? Money? I know you like money. You want Trump Tower in each country? We get you Trump Tower in each country. Just goddamn end the war. End the war. Anyways, let's do some business talk here. If you're just tuning in, make sure you're liking, subscribing, and sharing. Invite your friends over to join us. You see the heart icon at the bottom. Click on it. Let the algorithm know that you like this live stream, you like this podcast, and you want your friends and family to join us. You want the algorithm to let it know that to share it with other people on Substack. We talk about important things. 2 days ago, we talked about the details of the assassination for Jamal Khashoggi and how the Saudi government was able to, 3 days ago, I think, was able to lure him to from the United States all the way to Turkey, and how the Turkish government knew about the assassination beforehand, and how the Saudi government conducted the assassination and the aftermath of how they dealt with that. Uh, Shoulders okay. I forgot to take my meds this morning. I might cut this live stream a little short if there is not many questions. Speaking of questions, I'll grab this closer. Sorry for the shakiness. And I'm gonna put the post in the live in the group chat. Good morning, Habibis. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Questions. Why was there a cap on how much oil the UAE could sell when they were a member of OPEC? That's a good question. Each member, so OPEC is a membership cartel that is designed to control the prices of oil. And by limiting each country's production, we can control the how much is the price of that oil. So if the prices of oil become a little cheaper, Saudi government generally asks all the other countries to slow down their productions and sales. We talked about in Malcolm's podcast how the Saudi government needed before the war that the price of oil would be around $90 a barrel to make a profit. Now, after this war, the Saudi government needs that the price of that oil to be more closer to $100 a barrel than the regular $90. In the meantime, UAE only needs to sell the barrel of oil for $50 to make a profit. That might have changed how much their margin of profit is, but how much that cost is, I need to go back and look. But last I looked, it was $50 a barrel. So that's a huge difference, but that's 50% cheaper. So when the Saudi government limits them from selling more oil to increase the decrease, that would decrease because that would decrease the prices of oil. The Saudi government is like, nah, you don't get to sell more because then the prices of oil would be cheaper than what it is, and we need it to be at least $100 a barrel. I hope that makes sense. Recovery is going slow. I had someone's asking how's the recovery going. I had a complicated shoulder surgery and complication with the recovery. The fact of the matter is, shoulder surgery recovery is very long. Mine is at least 2 months. And we're just through the first 2 weeks of recovery. So we'll see. I'm still a little sore, a little tender, but pain is better, but uh, it gets complicated. So my name is pronounced Wajeeh in Arabic. In American, I don't mind people calling me Waji or Waj or uh, Waji. Um, Up to you. It all works fine. I'm not that picky. سؤال كيف تعمل حكومة التحالف الأمريكية؟ I'm looking up question. Well, I don't know how you would write it down. I tried to spell my name as how I pronounce it, Waji. But it, that's how I feel like my name is enunciated. Is exactly how it's spelled, Waji. I used to spell it with a G instead of J, but then I got people that would pronounce it Wagi, and that's more of an Egyptian accent than a Saudi accent. So uh, I changed it from the G to J to give it more of a J sound. So Waji, yeah, at least that's how I spell it. Your question about the U.S. Conservatorship, I want to go and review the information that I know before I give you an answer. That's a good question. I haven't studied it as much as I should have. I apologize for that, uh, space of knowledge that I don't have. But I would rather tell you that I don't know the answer than give you a wrong answer or look it up on AI and give you an AI answer right away. Um, does that make any sense? I would rather like do my homework, go do my reading, look at different sources, Look at how other countries cooperate with us, what they say in different languages, and then come up to you and give you like that answer. So hopefully I could give you an answer about that tomorrow, or I could write an article about that, if that's okay with you, Mr. Cash Flow Collective. After today, what is MBS' honest relationship with the U.S., considering his love affair with Kushner? Listen, the Gulf nations are very much tired and frustrated from Trump. But I have said this over and over and over again. The Gulf state are like, they work like old money. They don't do everything out in the open. And when they want to end a relationship with you, especially if you have the upper hand, they don't shut the door on your face. They close the door very slowly without you noticing that the door got closed. It's about small incremental changes that will happen in the next few to 10 years, where the Saudi government and other Gulf nations slowly kick out US bases from the region, where they find other military allies to substitute the United States for that security, to start building alliances and military productions with countries like Ukraine. All of these incremental changes don't seem like drastic at the moment, but as they add up, it will chip away from the U.S. Strategic power, and that is your danger. Your danger is not going to happen overnight, especially that Saudi military relies on the U.S. intelligence and relies on the United States. So they're not going to make a rash decision and just end their relationship with the United States right away. They have to be very strategic about how they do that. I hope that answers your question. So someone is asking, the US dollar $90 is so high for the US barrel of oil. And this person is saying that uh, not high because production costs, but it's high because balance of the national budget, really high spending for super smart projects like Line City in the desert. I thought you were talking about, for some reason, the United States for a second, but no, you're talking about Saudi Arabia. Most of the Saudi projects that you see now, the investment projects, have come to either a pause or an end. The strategy has dramatically shifted after the war. You know, even though Saudi Arabia was lobbying the United States to destroy the Iranian echelon of leadership, they realized that they have miscalculated the Iranian capability of owning the Strait of Hormuz, and they have miscalculated the Iranian capability of precision strikes. and they have miscalculated the Iranian capability for lasting this long. And all of that has factored into what we have now, where the Saudi government needs the price of oil to be at $100. Additionally, they're no longer selling 120 million barrels of oil a day. They're only selling 16 million barrels of oil a day to maximum 20 million barrels of oil a day. The cash flow, the Saudi government was already struggling with cash flow before the war because they were investing in so much so fast. People who specialize in national investments, like what the Saudi government is doing, advise that when you get a lot of money real quickly, the smart thing is to invest it slowly, not so fast. Because by the end of the day, if you invest it very fast, you end up throwing your money into bubble investments that end up, bursting and you don't get much return. Or you end up spending the money on bad investments that doesn't get you as much return because you're trying to get that as fast as possible into the market. So what needs to happen is the Saudi government needed to slow down, but that was a big mistake. The second mistake the Saudi government did is they did not follow the strategy of the United Arab Emirates. The UAE strategy for foreign investment was very smart. It allowed foreign investors to imagine their future, to imagine what they want to invest in, to create the project themselves. And then they would go to the United Arab Emirates, and the United Arab Emirates would basically give them a tax-free land. You are obligated to put one fourth of that investment in the bank ahead of time, and you're giving a time period to finish that project. And if you don't finish the project, you end up losing the whole thing, and the UAE government takes over. The nice thing about all of this is the UAE hasn't spent a penny. All of that investment is coming from foreign ideas, foreign projects, people who wanted to create their vision in the United Arab Emirates, avoiding taxes, avoiding sanctions, avoiding many things, and being so close to the middle of the old world that it gives you access to Europe, Asia, and the Middle East and Africa. Now, the Saudi government did not do that. What they did is that they came up with their own projects, invested their own billions and trillions of money into these projects, and then they begged the rest of the world to come and invest in the projects that they came up with. Problem with that is if I'm the Saudi government, right, and I am hiring an advisory firm like McKinsey, for example, I go to hire McKinsey and I'm like telling McKinsey, listen, McKinsey is not a person name. It's a company name and a company that specializes in fixing problems and finding solutions. It's an advisory firm with public relations sections and all of that. So I go to McKinsey and I pay them $30 million to come up with a plan for the kingdom to come for a project like Neom or the Line or Al Mukab, the square, or any of these projects. Take a minute and hit that like button at the bottom for me. So all these projects, whether they are succeeding or failing, McKinsey doesn't give a fuck. They're already getting paid. It's not their project. They're just getting paid. to come up with a plan and fix any issues with that plan as it comes forward. So it is in their best interest to keep giving advice to the Saudis, and the Saudis keep spending all these billions and trillions with companies like the McKinsey and end up not resulting in much or many projects closing like the line, life goal. All of these decisions were made without proper deep dive investigation on how it would affect the Saudi economy. Many of these decisions were made to work and affect public opinion more than um, having economic return. Especially after the assassination of Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi government found itself in a pickle where whatever it did, whenever I come out on social media and or whenever I come out on BBC and I criticize the Saudi government and point out what they have done to undermine human rights, basically all the billions of dollars in the of investment that they have spent into these public opinion companies went to trash. So they decided to invest in something that people worship, not religion, something even better, sports. People worship sports. And they know that because even Saudis worship sports. And they have been using sports in Saudi Arabia to distract the citizens from a lot of the issues that happen, especially within the dictatorship, assassinations, so on and so forth. So when you get to that point, all of a sudden you want to make an investment into a project that even if I come out and talk on CNN, people are not going to listen. So they started buying sports teams. They started buying big parts of the sport projects like WWE wrestling. Uh, they have been trying to get more control over UFC, boxing, and they are trying to unite. They were trying to unite all of that. You have live golf. You have them getting in with Formula One. All of these things are designed to play with the soft power of changing public opinion. A lot of you don't know that in Western countries, countries that you live in, if you live in a city that has a stadium, you're paying taxes out of your own city taxes or state taxes to fund these stadiums. So you end up being responsible for a lot of those costs, whether directly or indirectly. So when a country comes in like Saudi Arabia and goes, "Hey, Habibi, don't worry, I take care of the bill for you. Don't worry about it. I'll buy the team. I'll take care of all." Because teams are no longer profitable like before. Teams cost money, and a lot of times they just collect a lot of interest or collect a lot of loans and end up not being profitable. So when a country like Saudi Arabia comes in and goes, "Hey, let me take care of that bill for you," a lot of people stop seeing what's happening in terms of human rights violations and just think about the team that they have been like supported. Oh, now we can get better players. Oh, now we can get better facilities. Oh, now we can get a better stadium. Oh, now we can get a better coverage. All of those things are incentives for anyone that is in love with their team. And those actions make a huge difference. So they started buying sport teams. But all of that now is at a pause. All of that is at a pause. Why? Because Saudi national security interest is in danger. Trump has Like the Saudi government has promised the United States $1 trillion of investment. You can kiss all of that goodbye. They don't have the $1 trillion to give you anymore. They were counting on the oil sales to happen. They're begging you to come to a conclusion to the war, but you're not listening. They told you to end the Freedom Project because you just endangered their economy again. Yeah, 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 yeah. Let me do some business. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are watching a recording. If you are just tuning in, please click that heart button. If you like what I'm talking about, subscribe. You can become a free subscriber. If you want to have a premium membership on the house, a paid membership on the house, or like you guys like to call it, Easy Pass, um, send me a message in the DM with the email associated to your account, and I'll happily give you one, especially if you can't afford it. If you could afford becoming a paid subscriber, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. It is how we pay for the bills, and it is how we do what we do, get the treatment, travel around, do whatever, investigate, pay people to help us writing articles. All of that comes with your support. So if you want to support me, I would really appreciate that. It goes a long way. Let's go to the next question. What is the name of the command and control system being used? I don't know. How does a command and control system such as I think those questions are better asked for Malcolm and Jacob. I specialize more in the conflict aspects more than the system. But usually, when I get asked technical questions like that, I research it and write an article about it because it's way easier to do that than look it up while it's a good opportunity for me to learn about these systems. I haven't looked them up honestly. Would it be possible to talk about Jordan and what's happening with the king? Of course, it would be possible. Um, the history of Jordan is a little deep. The Jordanese government is a monarchy that extends all the way back to the Ottoman Empire, and they used to the king of Jordan's great grandpa used to be the king of Al Hijaz. Al Hijaz is the west part of Saudi Arabia, where you have the holy city of Mecca, the holy city of Medina, then you got the port city of Jeddah and the port city of Yanbu, and it has been known to be like a more moderate, uh, more open-minded side of the king of the Arabian Peninsula. Um, his great grandpa made a deal with the Brits and basically was trying to get uh, expansion and control the rest of the Arabian Peninsula, and then wanted his kids to take over Iraq, take over the Levant, and take over Jordan. But that didn't go the way he wanted. It ended up being divided. So Israel took Palestine. The Saudis were giving the Arabian Peninsula. And then the king of Jordan, the king of Al Hijaz was basically kicked out. And his kids were giving control over um, Iraq and were giving control over uh, Jordan. And he is a direct descendant of the prophet, just like I am. And as there was an agreement basically between the king and the tribes in Jordan because Jordan is filled with tribes, and you have to appease them in order to be in control. And in order for the king to stay in power, in order for the king to stay in power, he needs to hire people in the military that he can depend on. And the most reliable people that Arabs can depend on in the military are Bedouins, because once you have a contract defense with them, they're like with you for life. Essentially, it's a live or die type situation. Um, so the Jordanese Royal Guard is mostly made of tribal soldiers, and these tribal leaders that send their soldiers to this part of the military usually have some sort of agreement with the king. But the tribal leaders, if they come together and they say, I don't like your actions, maybe we should give the your brother the control over the country instead of you. The king of Jordan has been appearing weak for many years. The Jordanese economy has been in this shithole for at least since 2010, 2011, and before, um, where people were struggling, trash is not being picked up, so on and so forth. No governmental services enough for the people. Life is too expensive. People send their kids abroad to work and send money back home. All of that contributing to a decayed economy. Now, in addition to the decayed economy, you have the King of Jordan welcoming the Americans and supporting the war, and that also deteriorated the economy further, which has been making the tribal leaders who are conservative very upset. Not only you are working very closely with the Americans, and you have not deterred the Israeli government, but you are basically part of this war. So we want your brother to take over. That's basically what's happening. Okay, let's see what you guys got here. How does Lebanon fit in? Lebanon has a large Shi'i majority, not a majority, that has large Shi'i population in Lebanon, mostly in southern Lebanon. And this Shi'i group is also directly connected to Iran for two reasons, mostly because the supreme leader of Iran is the main spokesman for the Shi'i majority Muslim community. And he's basically the Pope for them. The second thing that they are also a proxy. They have military militias in Iraq that are directly connected to Iran, and they operate uh, cohesively with the Iranian government, and that basically complicates the problem for a lot of people in Lebanon and in the region, because they are and they have been the most militarized and most armed militia on the planet. Militia, not military, militia. So they are very well trained. They have been in the battlefield for years. They have tons of experience. They have a lot of funding. They have a lot of weapons, and they're part of this war. Oh, shit. Does Saudi Arabia have a military must for everyone of a certain age? No, it does not. This could change with this war, depending on how extreme situation get. Um, Countries like the UAE have a mandatory service because of the small population that they're in. Not all of the Gulf nations have it. I think one or two does. What else? Let's take a look at what's going on. Making sure that you guys have access to the live stream of this morning. Any other questions from you guys? Is Lebanon united, giving Christians northern and I think following Greek religion? The Christians in Lebanon are Coptic Catholic Christians. They're closer to the Catholic faith than the rest of the Christian community. And in fact, if there is no like, Coptic church, you're supposed to go to a Catholic church. When Pope Francis passed away, all the Coptic churches from the East have done their own rituals of uh, good, putting the Pope at rest. And they're considered to be the old school of Catholicism, where, before there was the Roman Catholics, there was the Coptics, and then the Roman Catholics came in. But I don't think you can become a pope unless you're a Roman Catholic. But yeah, that's how they are. The Israelis came in destroying a lot of holy sites and harming a lot of Christian Lebanese people who were the most allied to the United States, to the United States and Israel. But these Israeli actions have basically put the uh, that kind of support, that pause. But Lebanon is so divided, and Hezbollah is so um, picked out of the group all the time that it is so hard for them to unite. Who has more civilian support in Lebanon? Hezbollah, the Druze, the Catholics, or the secularists? The Lebanese government is divided into three sections. The president is Sunni. No, the president is Christian. The prime minister is Sunni, and the speaker of the house is Shia. And it's basically divided into these three groups. The power is divided supposedly like fairly between these three positions, but assassinations are often, military is basically mostly dismantled, and no decision could happen without a unanimous decision from the three groups. And that keeps putting Lebanon at a standstill of not moving forward. Thank you, France. How badly do you think American food shortages and prices will be? It will be really bad. You are currently in a bubble because the United States has and been using their stockpile to reduce the oil stockpiles to reduce the prices for you. But because the foreign prices of costs are going up, things are going to go up for you as well. Um, if this war continues, which I see it to continue, everything is going to go up. Your food, your gas, your electricity, your utilities, internet, AI, anything and everything will go up. Electronics, um, and that's not what Trump promised us, right? Trump promised us an economy that is going to be very cheap that we can use and live up on, but that didn't happen. How badly do you think American food shortages? Yes. The in terms of food shortages, I wanna tell people to start farming their own food now. If you can grow your lettuce, grow your lettuce. If you can grow your carrots, grow your carrots. If you can grow your tomato, grow your tomatoes. If you can make a neighborhood garden, make a neighborhood garden. The more isolated you become from the market by planting your own seeds, the more likelihood you will be less affected from these foreign um, costs. But you can't control everything. I strongly recommend you to do that also because for your safety when it comes to food safety. With mass production, it's really easy if one thing gets infected, everything else gets infected. But when everything is divided into sections and not everyone is infecting, not all the products at one place where if it's gets infected, everyone else gets sick. That way everything is separated a little bit more. I don't know if that makes sense. Coffee has doubled, that's right, and it will continue to double. Do you think part of the reason Israel convinced Trump to attack Iran was to divert attention from what they're doing in Lebanon? No, because the war in Lebanon, people like to separate it from the war with Israel. They're both part of the same exact conflict. Yeah. Stock up on your gas now before tomorrow. This is my own opinion. I've been doing that. In fact, was you know, I bought my some of the electronics that I needed to buy now before tomorrow. Good question. If the United States is not dependent on foreign oil, why are we exporting any of our oil and raising our gas prices? The United States was importing 10% of the oil consumption it has from foreign countries, and 8% of that 10% was from Saudi Arabia. Majority of the oil that's being sold out from the Gulf regions do not go to the United States. It goes to Asia and Europe and Africa. Um, and these countries strongly depend on that oil. And these are the same countries the United States gets most of their imports from. The United States gets their imports from China. The United States gets their import from uh, Korea. They get their imports from Japan, and then they get a lot of their food imports from the EU. All of that goes up for you. So the United States, the other part about the United States has a strategic oil stockpile. If the oil goes to that oil stockpile first, they're legally not allowed to sell that. So what they end up doing is that they produce the oil, sell it before it goes to the strategic oil reserve to foreign countries. That is, in the U.S. opinion, to help balance the inequality that has happened because of the oil shortages, and that's why you're not facing as much consequence economically at the moment as other countries. But as soon as that run out, we are in deep shit. We're already in deep shit. Because that oil is supposed to go to the strategic reserve. Our military is dependent on that strategic reserve, and yeah, it's not looking good. Hasn't Hezbollah been degraded into irrelevance due to the Israeli invasion and the U.S. talking out Iran's military capabilities? Has the U.S. taken out Iran's military capabilities? No. Hezbollah still has strong military capabilities. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of fighters. They also have a lot of ammunitions heading a lot of places. They have a lot of tunnels under the ground. Um, and it is a religious holy war for them as Israel is invading their land. They're not invading Israel at the moment. The other thing is that Iran's military capability has not been degraded, um, fully degraded, to the point where they cannot retaliate or to the point where they cannot affect the global economy. The fact of the matter is, Iran has the strong military capabilities at the moment that will put any ship at a standstill in the Strait of Hormuz and will make the United States wait all the way out away from the Persian Gulf, hanging out by Oman, the Omani Gulf, because that would put the U.S. ships, military ships, in direct targets of these military Iranian drones and ballistic missiles. That's why you don't see the minesweepers hanging out in the Persian Gulf. They're hanging out somewhere in the Southeast China Sea. So no, Iran, if their military capability was degraded, they were not, or they would have not been able to hit Fujairah yesterday. And about Fujairah oil facility that was hit yesterday, believe it, the Emiratis are saying it would take them at least 6 to 8 months to repair what happened and get back into production mode or like into where it used to be to working condition. The United States has lost more than $50 billion of infrastructure damage from the Iranian capabilities because the Iranians have shown that they are capable, not threatened, they have shown that they are capable of hitting precision targets, and they have hit more than 500 or 200 U.S. strategic uh, assets in the Persia and the Arabian Peninsula and Iraq. You can't take that for as a joke. And as we continue to underestimate the Iranian military, as we go into deeper shit, let's see. Are you guys still sending me questions here? I hope so. Do you think part of the reason Israel convinced Trump to attack Iran was to divert attention? Yeah, I already answered that. The Israelis need to. Someone is asking, if we come to a reasonable, understanding with Iran, how are we going to reign in from being so out of control? The reason Israel is so convinced and so empowered to hit Iran is because we have been in this war with them. They have not been able to do it for many presidency before this U.S. presidency, specifically because they don't have all the capability that's needed to hit all the Iranian targets and stay safe. If you notice, when Iran was responding to the Arabian Gulf, to the United States, Israel, and the Arabian Peninsula, hitting targets in each country, the United States was protecting Israel, but was not protecting the GCC. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Maybe one more question, and then I have to go take my meds. Um, Okay. Well, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Thank you so much for all the questions. For the questions that I don't have answers for, after I take my meds, put some ice, and rest, I'm have my team and I look into those questions and get back to you. Maybe we'll write some article. Um, Again, if you're watching this and you like the content that we are providing you, I hope you could consider become a paid member. If you are not a subscriber, please subscribe to my channel. You don't have to become a paid member to be a subscriber. If you cannot afford to become a paid subscriber, message me in the DM and I'll be more than happy to provide you with a premium membership on the house. We were able to give away hundreds and hundreds of premium memberships away. And to be honest, it's part of my secret joy to include more people into the community that we have. And, watching this community grow slowly and slowly but surely is very nice. There was some outlaws in the group chat in the past that were, saying bad things, and I put some basic principles in the group chat. Be respectful to each other. Do not uh, be racist. Do not be anti-Semitic. To involve everyone and accept everyone to be part of the chat. And those basic principles is exact basic principles of how we should work with each person that we meet in the world. Without you taking a minute and hearing them out and getting to the ground level of humbleness, you will not convince people to come on your side. And as we are, inching closer to another election year by year, month by month, I really hope that you guys can consider either running for office, you know, convincing your family or friends who are really good at what they do or have, good morals to join this revolution in demanding change. Why is it important for you to run for office even though you may not win? The reason is when you run for office and you come with the ideas that are meant to make change happen, your incumbent, like your competitors, end up having to adopt many of your ideas and apply it once they get elected because many people have agreed with you, or many people, or the poll says that you're right, or you know that is and an addition that you're putting them in check. If someone is running uncontested year after year, they become cocky. They stop looking for reviews. They stop looking for how to represent the people. As soon as you show them that they are shouldn't feel secure in that position, why I'm not asking for someone from a different party to run against them. No, I want you from the same party to run against them. And if they don't see that type of uh, accountability from their own people, then they're not going to change. And if someone asks you, why are you running against them? The answer is simple: accountability. I want to put them accountable. I want to make sure that this person, whether they win or lose, be more accountable when they represent us next session. That's how it's supposed to work. Call In the meantime, what you can do is call your senator, call your representative, uh, ask them to demand an end to this war. Tell them that this war is not helping us economically. It's not helping us uh, diplomatically. It is making us weaker. We have depleted our military assets. And if we want to stay in the top, we should divert those money that we are spending on bombing targets that have not resulted in a yield from for this war into spending it into our education system and revising the economy. People don't want to say that the military is a socialist system, but it's the most socialist system that we have. We pay to it, we spend trillions in it, and it does not give us anything in return when it comes to investing economy. It's as like investing in fireworks. You need fireworks for certain events, but you don't need all your money in the fireworks. We need our soldiers to protect us. We need our soldiers to be with us. We respect the military. We honor their service. We give them in fact, that money that we are spending trillions of, our veterans need, who have returned from the war with PTSD and injuries, to recover. Several days ago, I have posted a video that I saw while I was scrolling down on Instagram, where an Arab from Iraq in the United States was walking around, and he's like, he's the landlord, and you know the he was talking about a situation where a soldier lost a leg in the war, and he basically did not get enough help and service that he need. He had knife marks all over the doors. He was shooting bullets at the door, and then they ended up calling 911, and they're taking him to a mental facility. Is that how we want to treat our US soldiers that have sacrificed their life, sacrificed their loved ones, sacrificed their friends, uh, and put their life on the line just to be put in mental health facilities that do not give them adequate attention? Meanwhile, we're spending trillions of money on bombing Iran without any results. That's my opinion, at least. I would love to hear yours. If you're watching this on YouTube, make a comment. Let me know what you think. Click the subscribe button. Click on the bell button so you receive the latest notifications once we post something on YouTube. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. مع السلامة. Bye bye. بالإنجليزي. Goodbye. Thank you for so much. You have a good one.